No World Order podcast, part three, no row order. We got cut off a little bit. Real word is back. I am back. And I wanted to hear your thoughts, your continuation of your thoughts. So if you could start from the top, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so what I was basically getting at was just how seeing all these celebrities and all these public figures coming out and just speaking the same talking points, just how they're heartbroken about the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, and just the talking points, and it just drives me crazy. It's just kind of infuriating. And again, why I stay off of social media, because of just how much this stuff bothers me. Is just, yes, these their opinions, but it just seems so forced, and they're just capitalizing on the news of the day, and it'll be gone in a week, and behind what they're tweeting in general. But yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. I just find it kind of infuriating, just seeing some of these posts and how some of these celebrities act and react to these things. And you don't see a lot on the pro-life side, not too much. You see it a little bit, but you definitely see the ones speaking out that are heartbroken and feel it's a tragedy and the worst thing that they can do, turning back time a half a century, like we said in the last episode. And that's kind of where I was at. It's just kind of, it drives me crazy, because like at this point it doesn't turn back rights. It actually gives the people more rights and gives opportunity. If you don't like abortion, you can vote to have that change in your state. If it's already a force for abortion state, you can vote to change that. If you want abortion, you can vote to change that. This gives you the option to now vote and do it that way, instead of having it be this government overseeing entity. And like you said last episode, I believe, less government the better. So this is where this leads us, and I'm all for that. And yeah, it just kind of drives me crazy seeing some of these same talking points spewed over and over again from some of these celebrities, artists, musicians, things like that.
Yeah, I've unfriended a lot of people. It's actually been really nice for people to show their true
a little
colors.
behind there.
No, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah, I've been unfriending a lot of people, so it's been nice to people to show their true colors. There's this video floating around of somebody asking a dude on the streets of, I think, New York, about abortion, or I don't think it was Roe v. Wade. I think it was abortion in light of the leak. But it turned out to be Margaret Sanger's grandson, and he's like an old dude now. But he's like, "Do you know who you're talking to?" He's like, my grandma started Planned Parenthood," and I DM'd the person who posted that. I was like, "Hey, do you know that Margaret Sanger started Planned Parenthood to like kill off all Black people? Like, that's the real story, right?" So like, this dude saying that Margaret Sanger's his grandma is basically admitting to being part of a eugenic, fucking racist, baby killing family, right? You get that? Okay, cool. Because there's more to the story than just whatever you happen to see in 3 seconds of a fucking reel on Instagram. But yeah, the parroting from people is just too much. I really just wish people would understand, or at least try to understand. I wanted to share something with you here. Let me see if I can do it. It would be this. Hang on a sec. Or maybe it won't. Here we go. Okay.
He's getting it. He's getting it.
I saw another thing. I'm paying attention a lot more to wrestling because I would love to do a spin-off pod where I just talk about wrestling conspiracies. Um, so I'm kind of seeing how it would go. But I wanted to show you this.
Oh yeah, I saw that going
Okay,
around
good.
too.
I'm
Fucking
glad he's
pissed me off.
it stung, and it shouldn't because I don't know this fucking guy, but like it was a little bit of a bummer from someone who I know doesn't have kids too. Like that's another fold of it for me is like if you don't even like if you don't have kids, it's weird of you to demand that anyone can kill a baby whenever they want or wherever.
But I will say, hold on.
Okay.
Isn't that top shirt a little transphobic?
Yeah, because what if somebody was a dude, transitions to, or mentally is a female, but hasn't gotten their penis removed yet, nor have they gotten a uterus implanted, but they consider themselves a female capable of giving birth. Oof, that's a lot of qualifiers here. Yeah, why is see if I wore this shirt,
That's the
like,
world.
Yeah, if I wore the shirt,
we live in right now.
I would get shit for not including or excluding people that are trans or I don't know, people that consider themselves, you know, animals or whatever. But Punk does it and he's a fucking hero. And he specifically, I guess, I don't know, I don't watch AEW, I watch decent wrestling, but he did it, I guess, in Texas.
Shots fired.
So he waited until he was in Texas to do it, which also makes me think he's a little, well, we know this. We know Punk is a little fucking, you know, he's kind of a pistol. He kind of knows what he wants. And that's why I like him or liked him initially. But I know this is a weird direction to go. And it's surprising for me that they kind of let it on TV in a wrestling show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't know. AEW seems very progressive for sure.
Like, that's one way of looking at it.
And that, you know, just get there, get whatever message you want out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, I'm not against. Oh no, I just.
Yeah, I saw that picture going around. I kind of pissed me off when I saw it.
Yeah, it was a bummer for sure. But whatever. Like I said, I don't know the dude. He's never paid any of my bills, but I bought his shirts. So fuck him, I guess. And it wasn't a real jab at AEW. I would watch it if it were accessible, easier, or free. But like I said, until then, I back Vince. I'm on the Vince boat. No chance in hell. Peace. Anyway, so yeah, so a lot of the parroting going around, and I feel like for as big of a deal it is, and how many people are out there protesting and getting arrested, which, by the way, a lot of companies are now saying if their employees get arrested protesting, they're going to bail them out. You know, yeah, and a lot of
that playbook again, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of companies, and by a lot, I mean bigger companies like Disney, Netflix, and I forgot the third, Chase Bank, which fucking I hate Chase anyway. They have said that they will pay if their employees need to go to a different state to have an abortion. And then somebody pointed out
that.
Yeah, and somebody pointed out, yeah, it's because they don't want to pay for you to have a baby and go on maternity leave because it's easier and cheaper for them to pay for you to fucking have an abortion, which opened up a whole nother line of thinking in my brain. And I was actually very impressed with that comment because that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is like Disney is supposed to be geared toward kids, but they're paying people to kill babies, which you would think would hurt their future earnings, but I guess enough adults still watch and enjoy Disney independently of kids. So interesting and makes logistical sense. And again, people don't see through it. A lot of, I feel like, sub agendas coming up. You know, I feel like that's what happens. They throw this big issue out there, everyone's all crazy, and these little sub agendas start to like fucking feed at the teat of the power that's coming from it.
Yeah.
I had a few other things, just funny memes that I saw, like Gateway Pundits always posted good stuff, and then Babylon B did one that said Roe versus Wade got aborted and it's like 178th trimester or something like that. Trying to keep that lighthearted, even though it's totally dark, kind of sense of humor going. Because who knows, man? Like with the BLM riots in 2020, how long did that go? Like in Portland, it was like for months it was going on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
A
I don't know.
while.
This doesn't seem to have that same veracity, but it is present. Like the fucking police look prepared. It's really funny because during a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests, the police look like they weren't really doing a whole lot, or I don't know, something. But the fucking videos I've seen, they almost look staged, which they might be. But these officers, man, they look ready to go. They fucking have these like invisible, like, or like clear shields, and they're not fucking around. I saw this one cop and she was small, but she was ready to beat the shit out of someone with a baton, you know? And like it sucks because I don't want to agree with that, but a lot of these fucking people are just out to destroy property and like wreak havoc. During the fucking BLM protests, they were killing animals. You know, like this is
Yeah.
not what our streets should be. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think in a situation like this, I do back the fucking cops, like keeping people safe. You know, it's as much as I hate to say that, you know,
No, that was my dichotomy that I found myself in 2020, where it was like we were seeing all this happen, and then we were seeing the police get attacked and not doing much destruction. So yeah, if they actually can be unified and do their job correctly and actually keep people safe, then for sure, like all for it, that's where our tax dollars should be going to work, but it's not always like that. But yeah, I was in the same position as you growing up, like, oh, fuck the police, like all cops are bad and things like that. But, you know, there's nuance to everything. There's good and bad and
yeah,
everything, So it's like that's where I've grown. It's just like, just seeing things differently with perspective.
yeah. Fuck the police. No justice, no peace. Um, yeah, it's a trip to when you're forced to think about things in a different light, or there's a paradigm shift and you have to go along with it. But for as big of a story as all of this is, and for as much as going on the streets and all these fucking politicians calling for chaos, there's not a whole lot to talk about. The Supreme Court said, you know what, this should have never really been a thing that we decided because it's
Dude, yeah,
inaccurate. So we're just going to squash
yeah.
it and leave it up to all the states to decide on their own. And
That's
that's
how it
it.
should be.
And
That's
then
how it should be.
yeah, and then politicians said a bunch of misinformation, funnily enough, and then a bunch of people just parrot what celebrities say,
Yeah.
and now they're protesting. But I mean, we could talk about. I did see that there was allegedly some piles of bricks found not too far from where a protest was taking place. Again, an old move we've seen. If that's real, we saw that in 2020. But there's not a lot to talk about. I mean, I feel like we've covered it.
Yeah.
Less higher up government regulation, the closer we have to being in control of our own persons, the better. We talked about ways to avoid getting pregnant in the fucking first place. That's my favorite. I saw a meme that was like, don't like abortions and get a vasectomy, or just don't fuck everybody, or
Yeah.
use it like
Be responsible.
listen,
Yeah.
I don't advocate for like IUDs and the pill because that's all poisons that'll fuck you up in other ways. I don't even advocate for condoms necessarily unless they're, a safe rubber and all this shit. But there's abstinence that people laugh at, and then there's the calendar method which fucking women used for as long as women since fucking have been around and been able to count the days, and that's another option that zero people talk about on either side, really. I mean, I see some like holistic people that, it's their thing, talk about it, but you're not going to hear these people say, oh, like, yeah, you can't get abortions anymore, but if you pay attention to your cervical mucus and the day of the month, you can avoid getting pregnant. Just don't have sex
Yeah.
for these fucking 3 days, 5 days of
These
the month.
days. Yeah.
That's it. It's just a few. It's
Exactly.
really just a few days. But
Yep.
I don't feel like there's
that's why they say it truly is like a miracle if you actually, especially these like one night stand type things that get pregnant. It's like, dude, it's so hard. Like it's so that window is so minimal for a woman to actually get pregnant. So it is crazy that it even happens. And, you know, because some people could try for so long and not even have any luck with it, you know, but it's pretty interesting for sure. But yeah, that's been the probably most proven method is the calendar method for sure. And like you said, it's been done for centuries, you know, way before our time for sure. But I did see something funny that was being posted around. Yeah, I saw something funny that said, oh, all of a sudden people know what a woman is, huh?
Right, exactly. Going back to the uterus CM Punk shirt,
Yeah,
now you're allowed to say that women have uteruses and give birth, but you
exactly.
couldn't a month ago. I would have been rude.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that was my thing. Something you touched on as well is like I've known a lot of people that have struggled for years to get pregnant. It broke their spirit. It fucking, like damages the marriage. It has a lot of toll. And then there's people out there that have never even been in a serious relationship arguing that you should be able to kill a baby because it's not a person until you birth it or shit like that. Just
Yeah.
ignorance. And I feel bad for women that want nothing more than to just have the opportunity to raise one of their own kids that have to listen to this fucking disgusting filth from everybody, like, and I guess
Yeah.
that's my problem. I'm making a character up in my head and then attaching emotion, just like I accuse the other side of doing. But it's true. There's people out there that can't get pregnant that would love to, and they have to get forced to hear about how people just want to kill the babies they do get pregnant with, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
So do you have anything to go over? Were you gonna bring anything up? Because I kind of did, if we had a little time, want to talk about Stranger Things for a minute.
yeah, let's do a special fucking post show little rap about Stranger Things, which would be a great just whole, I don't even know, 5 hour long episode. But yeah. Lead this one, man. When did you start watching? Like, are you watching solo? Are you watching at night? Like, give me the setting, man. I want to know what's going on.
So I was always holding off on it for whatever reason. Just was told by everybody, "Oh, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. It's so good. It's so good." And then I heard like the last season was coming out, which now I hear is false, and there's actually going to be another last season or
What?
something like that. So I
Breaking
don't.
news
That's
to
what I
me.
heard. That's what I heard. So I don't know. That whole thing kind of pisses me off. That's annoying because the whole reason I started is like, okay, it's coming to an end. Cool. I'll start it now. And then so me and my girl started watching it, and then because she had seen it before, but didn't really remember too much about it. So just started watching it together, first few episodes, and then got through first two seasons, just started third season. But I did want to touch on like the theme or what I think the shadow monster represents, or what I think it kind of deals with and is touching on behind the government experimentation with MK Ultra and things like that. But my personal opinion is I think that the shadow monster, whatever, in the first like two seasons is supposed to represent like depression, PTSD, or some sort of like trauma for whoever is kind of going through it. And we can kind of see it happen initially with Will. He's getting picked on. He's kind of the outcast of the group. He's kind of weird. So he's kind of struggling with that internally. And then all of a sudden this monster starts showing up. And then you could kind of see it with his brother a little bit, just kind of being, the weirdo as well. And then you could see it in Hopper, when he starts kind of going crazy, like they're going through episodes of whatever they're going through, and I think that monster is their trauma, is their whatever. And then in season 2, I believe, when they go down, and Will sends, he's like, oh, it's too late, and then he sends the monster to the lab. And the first was such a good representation of of suicide for soldiers and military. So that's where my thoughts on it were. I gravitated towards that theme pretty heavily, pretty quickly throughout season 2, just with my personal opinions and beliefs on it. But yeah, what do you think about what I just kind of had said or laid down?
So you're kind of saying that the Demigorgon could be like a manifestation of feeling, like they're bringing it into reality with their emotion.
Yeah.
Trippy. Never heard that. That's a good one. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I almost want to
Yeah.
rewatch
I
with that in
just feel
mind.
like, just based on certain circumstances, yeah, do it for sure. And then get back to me and tell me what you think. Because I think there's a lot of signs for like depression or PTSD, anxiety, and just self-identity, just like, growing up, like facing,
Hmm.
know, challenges growing up, and it's just dealing with those things. And then that's when the monster kind of comes into play. And the mom, when she's going through it with the lights and all that, like she's going through an episode, you know what I mean? But there's the story going on as well, but it's also being represented by that. And I know they call her crazy and all this stuff and play it off like that, but that's my thoughts on it for sure. And I would definitely suggest rewatching it with that in mind, and then we'll get back to that for. And the delay is real.
Yeah, no, that's really, really interesting. I got to rewatch it from that point of view and then contrast to compare. It does seem to go along with it, though. It's almost like the as above, so below. Like there's the MK Ultra CERN, and then there's going to be that on the other side, and they're both present and wreaking havoc and on unknown from people that have no idea what's going on. Um, I also am going to stick a pin in part of that for when you get or when you get caught up to date and you get through season 4, because I think a lot of what you just said could have a. I think a lot of what you said may be revisited or even explained in a different way, or maybe that theme just continues through 4. Because now I'm kind of thinking of it, and I don't remember 1 and 2 a whole lot, or I remember a little bit of 3. But since I'm watching 4 now, that's what I'm comparing it to, and it kind of feels like it's like that argument stands. So you may go 4 for 4 seasons on that, in which case you need to put it on Reddit or something and get credit for it, because that's pretty good. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Um,
because I heard that season 4 is very, because I immediately looked it up when I had that realization. I immediately looked it up, and it says season 4 is about it, but I'm like, I think it hit a little earlier in even season 1, and people are just kind of late on it, and we're just built up in the hype of the show. And another thing, you got to remember that this is taking place in the 80s, so a lot of their terminology is going to be, or their of these things, it would have been limited, so they wouldn't know how to describe it. So having it kind of played out as this monster figure, I think, again, kind of makes more sense to me. But yeah, I'll definitely have to keep up with it and keep watching for sure.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I love season 4. But yeah, that's interesting because it's not the first time that we've seen. I mean, I feel like there's a pretty consistent throughout time, anyway, chronologically, pretty consistent that people compare their feelings to an animal or to a monster. Even looking at something like Big Mouth on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen that, but these boys come of age, go through puberty, and they get their hormone monster. And that's how they kind of express and explain all the feelings you get when you're going through puberty, because you have a fucking monster steering the ship for most of it. Um, but going off of that and kind of blending your point of view and my point of view, or at least our big takeaways from the show, kind of blending them, could it be? Here's where the conspiracy theory of our portion of our show comes into play. Could it be that they're finally going to capitalize on the world consciousness being so distraught and beaten up and angry that they're going to open the CERN portal again and bring something in from elsewhere that is a manifestation of the entire world's negativity? What if that's the big plan, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of a blending of both of them.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, especially with the CERN thing. It's yeah, that like the more you talk about it, that really does kind of sound like Stranger Things, and that whole opening of the gate and letting it in type of thing. And yeah, if everybody had their collective fears, which we all have our basic fears of spiders, snakes, that kind of stuff, but we're talking about like core fears. Like one of mine is I'll be vulnerable, is like abandonment, like fears like that. Like if there's like core fears that are like being able to be drawn out and be manifested, that'd be crazy. And that would be something like straight out of Stranger Things.
Yeah, powering that machine. Yeah, that's interesting. Hope it doesn't happen. I hope I didn't just create a timeline by suggesting it, but I'm not sure I'm that powerful yet anyway. But yeah, interesting thoughts on Stranger Things. I love it. I got nothing else. How about you?
Nothing more that I can think of. So just do a quick recap of these last 3 episodes. So Uvalde Elementary has gives me very big feelings like Sandy Hook. So definitely keep an eye on that. They're going to be, from what you sent me, is they're going to be demolishing this. What else did we go over? We talked about CERN, and then we just kind of brought that back with Stranger Things. We talked Vince. We know Vince can get away with it, and he can buy his way out of basically any lawsuit. What else did we talk about? We talked about the hot topic of Roe v. Wade being overturned, and how it actually gives people more rights and more opportunities to actually, take control of their life and vote and actually make a change themselves. And yeah, then we got into a little fun Stranger Things discussion and then tied it all back in. So I think we're good. If you want to recap anything or have any other final thoughts, I think I'm good.
Nothing that pertains to what we talked about, but I am hearing a timeline on stuff going downhill as far as food supply. So if there's any credence to this, I'm hearing about 8 weeks from June 22nd that shit's going to start to be a big issue, whether it's not enough diesel gas for trucks to deliver, or
those
just
cows being killed or dying or whatever, just weird shit going on for sure.
And it's not just
For
cows.
sure.
There's a few other animals that have just died in droves like that. And
More stranger things happenings, huh?
yeah, exactly. And there's farmers talking about how what used to cost them $10 to feed their animals is costing them 60, and that's going to transfer over to the stores
Consumers,
when
yeah.
it comes time to, they say render, but they mean, slaughter or kill the animals. So I don't know. Heads up, gather some shit, be prepared as much as you can. Not a very happy note to end on, but this was a fun, epic 3-parter episode. And I think if you're good, I'm good. And I'm just going to let everybody go.
Yep, we're all
Cool.
good. Until next time, everybody. Peace.